Only a couple more weeks left until Broncos camp gets underway. For Sidney Jones, Eric Dalal, I'm Phil Milani here in studio as our Countdown to Camp series continues on. And guys, this is the big question. Anytime anybody's talking about the Broncos this offseason is who's going to be the quarterback, who's going to win this competition between Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. Eric, let's start with you.
Well, you want me to spoil it for everybody? You want me to tell them who's going to win?
Give me the answer.
Okay. I think it's all about consistency here. This Broncos defense is really, really good. You've got all these playmakers. And so while I think that Drew Lock has maybe more potential than Teddy Bridgewater, we've also seen that Teddy can be that steady guy. He can put you in position to win games, deliver the ball to playmakers. I think as this competition begins, as it gets going in training camp in the preseason, I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the guy that week to week you can count on to deliver a consistent level of play. And I think that should be enough to have them in the playoff conversation. So I think week one in New York, Teddy Bridgewater's running out there.
Okay, all right. Teddy says that he feels good mentally, spiritually, physically, says maybe similar to that 2015 season in Minnesota when he was a Pro Bowler. So if you get that kind of production, I think the Vikings went 11-5 that season. So that would be a pretty good that would be a boost in quarterback play this year.
I'll take it.
You'll take it. Okay. Sidney, who do you like?
I'm going to go with Teddy too. Obviously, we need to see what happens in training camp and in preseason, but kind of the same thing that Eric said, it's consistency. He's going to make the safe, conservative throws that will get us the win. He's the type of guy that he'll take what the defense gives him. He's going to throw it to the open receiver. And for me, it's all about winning games, and that's the guy who's going to move the chains. Again, during OTAs, one thing that I saw too was that he really established that connection with Jerry Jeudy and got that chemistry flowing. So that is kind of a no-brainer for me there too. But I do think Drew has unlimited potential, and I do think he'll have the ability to be a great quarterback, but I think he's still developing and will need time.
Jeudy says that Bridgewater throws floaters. Bridgewater said, I call that a catchable ball. But there's no doubt that those two have had some chemistry. I'm going to defend Drew Lock's honor here, okay?
Well,
that's what I'm going to say. Drew, heading into his second year with Pat Shurmur here, said that they started to figure each other out. Drew says that he's feeling a little bit more confident going into this season, said that they were able to work on some of those finer details. So I'm going to defend Drew Lock here, and I'm going to say that this is his job to lose. I think that he's going to have the first crack at things here, and I say that first game against the Giants, he's going to be the Broncos starter. Disagree with me?
No, I think it's almost best case scenario for the Broncos if Drew wins. He's a younger guy. I think he's got all that arm talent that you want. He's mobile. If he can put it all together, I think that takes the Broncos from maybe competing from a wild card spot to being able to challenge the Chiefs for the division. But I just need to see it out there and see it consistently from day to day. In OTAs and minicamp, you'd see a good practice, then a practice where maybe he struggled a little bit, and that kind of matches up with what we saw a season ago. But if he comes into camp and can start stacking 3-4 days in a row, stack those games, hey, then Drew Lock is the right choice. So certainly not ruling him out, but I think at this moment, as we're recording this, Phil, I'd lean a bit toward Teddy.
Yeah.
Sidney, he's been working with Peyton Manning. That's got to do something.
I know. I am on Eric's side for this one, but I think whoever starts week one won't be the only guy who plays. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe an in-season switch. Okay.
Yeah, you never know.
The last thing to touch on here is when do you think we're going to get an answer? Because Vic Fangio said that the competition really hasn't even started yet. He doesn't put too much emphasis on the off-season program. When are we going to get an answer to this question from the people who actually make the decision?
I think end of preseason. I think they need to see them in game situations to figure it out.
Yeah, I think after a couple preseason games, I think that decision needs to be made before you go into the final preseason game against the Rams. At that point, you'll have had joint practices, you'll have a game against the Vikings, a game against the Seahawks. You should have enough at that point to figure it out and know, hey, has Drew taken this step or does Teddy give us a better chance to win? Then give yourself kind of that dress rehearsal against the Rams, and then, hey, get into some game prep 2-3 weeks before you go to New York in a game that you've got to win. And, I think part of what goes into this quarterback decision is you've got to start fast with the opponents that you have. And so we'll see how much of an impact that plays.
Okay. A couple of Teddy Bridgewater answers here. I'm going with Drew Lock. We'll find out in a couple of weeks here for sure, though. All right, one more week to go until Broncos camp gets started. That means we only have one more in our series of counting down to camp here. For Sidney Jones and Eric Dalal, I'm Phil Moore.